Hello everyone, and welcome to another Botball analysis video. My name is Jonathan Harris, and I'm really excited. Today we're going to be looking at a little bit of a different run. The last two times we've done it, or specifically the last video, we looked at a very good run by the Los Altos team. I would highly suggest you go check that out. There's some really interesting things in that video and some good takeaways, I think. So today, instead of looking at an exceptional run, picking apart and seeing what they did well, and seeing what we can take away from it. Today we're going to be looking at a not-so-great run and seeing how we can improve it and what we can do to make this run work better, and also what minor changes could we make to the run to make this run score more overall. So before we get started and start to break apart what could have been done better, let's watch the run in its entirety. Also something to note right before you start, the ambulance right here, these are called the firefighters, and the blue palm are the team places them. They're allowed to place them wherever they want on these red lines. So that is something to note, that this team specifically picked the positioning of where this ambulance, this firefighter, and this water palm went. But let's go ahead and watch the run in its entirety, and then we'll break apart what could be done to help improve this run. Okay. So they're trying to keep that palm. Okay, I see what they're doing there. And then it looks like they're going to get caught up on that green palm and are not going to be successful with completing the rest of the run. And I think we free spin for the rest of the duration. Now, there's a lot of room for improvement. That's why I specifically selected this run, because I think there's a lot we can do, and we can actually get this run to be upwards of 150-ish points. I definitely think that's possible with very minor changes. But let's see what we can do. All right. So first, let's see where we can just let's interpret what they were trying to do, and see what we could do. What we could change to make that work better. Now, going through the rest of the day, you do see there's another failure for this run later on, but you do see. In that specific run, they do end up driving about this far before they have failure, but you do see the bot begin to turn right here to go back into the start box. And so what that does is so basically, we can gather that this run was supposed to take this blue palm and collect all of these crates on this line and push them back into the start box. It's a bulldozer run. Bulldozer runs are good. Bulldozer runs are common. But let's see what could be improved. So now, the direct root of our problems here, as you can see, is we have a collision on the outside of the bulldozer with those green palms, with those green and red cubes. Now, those green and red cubes are tricky. Like, they're rigid. They don't like squish like some of the other foam pieces on the board, and so if they get caught up under a wheel, that's really dangerous because those can pop your robot up and your wheels will just free spin, and that's exactly what you see happening here. So a couple things that could help prevent this. Number one, improving the dozer itself, the little pushing bulldozer in the front of the robot. You'll see what they have here is they have the front chassis, and what they've done is they've just screwed two angle brackets to both sides. Now, there's quite a few problems with this approach, and the main one being, number one, it's not very wide. So when you start collecting all of these palms, like two of these stacks is going to fill it up, and so you're going to get overflow by the time you get to the third stack. As well as there's a pretty substantial lip between the table and the edge of this robot. That means that a palm could get under that very easily. Things like to go up under bulldozers. It's very common. If you have too much of a gap there, they are going to pop up over it. It's very frustrating for teams. And that can cause a lot of problems. So to fix this, it's really easy. Number one would just to be make the dozer wider. You have no problem with this run with Starbox. Starbox is not something we're worried about. This dozer could be as wide as you want it. I think, realistically, it shouldn't stick out too much farther than the robot, but something like this would be very beneficial. Nothing too much, but definitely some more width there. Also, another thing. One of the best materials that you have at your disposal when making bulldozers is foam board. Foam board makes really good dozers. Just because it's light, it's something that can cover a wide surface area. Also, unlike plastic pieces, because a large problem with dozers is the middle bump right here on the table. What can happen is when you go up to that edge, it'll catch really bad, and you can get stuck on a side of the table. But with that foam board, it'll just kind of fold or crush up under it a little bit, and you're not going to have any problems. Now, you want to set your foam board just barely higher. I would say maybe 2 papers. Like if you put 2 pieces of paper between the bump. So like let's say we have a cross section of the table, and this is that bump, right? Foam board should be like right here. I mean, and then your rest of your robot comes out like this, right? But that foam board can just be just about to touch, and that's perfect widths and tolerances for making sure that nothing can pass under that foam board and everything like that. So first thing to do, and I would say actually, probably the length of a standard piece of paper with 2 little cuts or bends in it on the sides is going to be a perfect bulldozer size here. And that's going to help a lot. That just having a better bulldozer with that foam board is really going to get you the next step. The foam board specifically is really good for bulldozing these types of things out of the way. And so like I use a lot of times in foam board for a create. You'll see this is actually common. People will attach a foam board bumper to the front of their create robot, like right along the sides here, to make sure that none of these green cubes can pop up underneath the robot and can dislodge the robot from being able to continue the run. So foam board is super useful for making bulldozers. But let's look at what else could be improved besides just making that foam board bulldozer, because we also see we have some pretty bad navigational issues here. When I'm in the Starbucks, I'm a sucker for being in the Starbucks and not having to set the robot up in a very specific position. I like being able to just set my robot down and the robot locates itself in the Starbucks. And I'm very avid and I speak very highly of square ups. So the first thing I would do in this run is I would back directly up into this pipe and slam into this pipe so I know where I am. And then I would drive forward, I would turn, and I would square up on this black line. That way, I know exactly where I am every single time, and I'm not going to have any issue. And that way, I can just set that robot down at Starbucks wherever I want to, and I'm not going to have any issues with it. And it's going to be able to locate. But you'll see we do have some issues with that in this run. Alright, so you'll see we start here, and we immediately go for that turn. And you can see, even from that first turn, we're off. These motors are inaccurate. I mean, it's not their fault. These motors are going to be inaccurate, but we could already get some more accuracy, and if we would just square up on that black line right there, and then we'd be able to drive, because it looks like the drives are fairly straight, so you wouldn't have any problem there. And again, just square up right there. Square up on this black line, and you're going to get more consistency. Well, I would like to see 2. Square up here, drive, square up here, and then drive forward and square up here. I mean, you are going to get so much more consistency if you will do that. And then as soon as you square up here, what I would do, let's get to that part of the code first. And you'll see, because we're off a lot from where their desired location is. I mean, if we look, they probably are wanting to be somewhere over here, facing directly down this line. But because of how off their turns were, they ended up being somewhere over here. And so just adding those square ups is going to give you so much more consistency, I promise. And it's going to change. It's going to change the game for you, I promise. Square ups are fantastic. So, I mean, and time is also not an issue for this run. So square up and line follow as much as you can. Why not add more consistency? It's going to help you, and it's going to take your robot from working 2 times out of 10 to working 8 times out of 10 to 9 times out of 10, which is super helpful. So you'll see here, and then we drive down this line. Now, this is very simple to fix. All you would have to do is take this edge right here and line follow down it, right? Because then you're not going to get off, and even if you were to just have bad turns here to here to here, you could still hit this line and line follow the rest, and you could probably salvage something out of a run. And then you'll see, because that being off is what causes the green cube to pop on the outside of that dozer and pop that wheel up. So let's talk about how I would make this run work. I would make this run work. Let's start small, and then I want to build up to something that I think would make this run much, much better and would help a lot, and could make this run super effective. But, so first things first, take the bot and you want to square up into this back wall immediately. Don't care. You have the time. Just do it. Drive forward again, square up into this line. And you want to try to minimize, like I've said, you want to minimize the time in between square ups. So square up here. Now, back up here, and if you're trying to think about where adding as many square ups as possible, sometimes it is mildly unnecessary. If you turn here, if you drive here, and then you turn, right, and you're facing this way, yes, we could square up into this back pipe. Or we could do practically the same thing and square up over here on either this line or this line, and that's getting us closer to our destination. And we don't have to, it's mildly unnecessary to back up here and then drive the actually longer distance to just square up right here. All right. And then after you square up here, I would turn and I would back up, and it's slightly out of frame there, but, and then I would square up on this back wall, right? Because then you know exactly where you are, and you can be fairly confident in your position. And then just line follow. All you have to do is line follow. And I think the next video I make, I'm either going to do a Botball analysis next, again, or a line following video, because I think a good line follow is something that's super beneficial and super, super necessary. But just line follow down this line. You don't have to worry about it, and that would make you consistent. And that's why these black lines are there, not only to section off these parts of the board, but to line follow down, because that's going to help you so much. But then you line follow here, and their original plan was to just turn right here. So you line follow a certain distance, you turn, and then you can dump all of your belongings into the Starbucks. So just same approach, but basically just make that bulldozer out of foam board and use square ups and use the line follows. I promise it's going to help you so much. I can't stress that enough. Now, looking at this run, let's look at, let's pull up the game, let's pull up the scoring sheet real quick, and let's see how many points this run would get total. All right, so looking at it, we are going to assume and give them the benefit of the doubt that on their run, they were able to collect this blue palm here, and they were able to collect, sorry about the writing here, they were able to collect 1, 2, 3 stacks and bulldoze it back into the start box, right? Let's look. So, the medical supplies are the red cubes. There's 3 each. Those are 4 points each. Those are going to be 12. That's going to get us 24. And then we also have the water palms. Those are 2 points each inside the Starbucks, and so that's going to give us another 8 points. We could also say, given the benefit of the doubt, that it's possible that one of the blue palms stays on top of the green cube, and so maybe we get one here, and that's 20 points, and this can get bumped up, right? That's possible, but it's not really realistic or something that we want to bet on, because especially with the bulldozer, those are going to dump over. But what could we do with very few minor changes to the actual code in this run to drastically increase our points? Let's look. If you look down here, we'll see something, and this is what I want to look at. The burning medical center and the non-burning medical center. Those are these bad boys over here. So here's the burning medical center, and here's the non-burning medical center. All right. So the way these work is there's a red dot on here. That's Velcroed, and each run, it is randomly chosen which of these towers is going to do the burning and non-burning. And depending on which that one is, they will move the Velcro dot either here or here. And so those are random, and the hope there is that you can, or you will, use camera code and push things into the non-burning building and push things into the burning building accordingly. But you don't need to do that. What we could do is we can just mass everything up together and shove it into one, and half of that stuff is going to work great. You know, it might sound weird, but let's go ahead and see what I'm talking about. Now, if you'll see, in the start box, the red cubes are worth 4 points, and the green cubes are worth 4 points. If we come down here to the non-burning medical center, the red cubes on the ground, right here, the medical supplies, are worth 20 points. That's a lot. If we could get 3 of those, that's already 60 points, beating our other score. And if we can get 4 of those, which would mean getting the entire line of all 4, that's a lot. Specifically, it's a big increase from the run we were previously getting. Now, if we look in the burning medical complex, you'll see the red cubes are not worth anything, but the water palms on the ground are worth 5 points. And also something of note, and this is where the run idea that I had in mind, the firefighters on the ground are worth 25 points. That's big. Also something to note. I'm going to address all this, and then I'm going to show you the plan for what I have that would help this run improve. The ambulance on the ground and the non-burning medical center is 50 points. That's pretty big. That's a huge total, especially over what this team was scoring previously. So, what could we change about this run? Well, not much would need to be changed from the original run to make this this run possible. Now, let's go ahead and assume for this run that we have the improved dozer with the foam board that is wider and can grab more things, right? Because that's definitely going to help us, because we're going to be grabbing a lot more. And you'll see we have very easily at our disposal an ambulance right here. An ambulance in the non-burning medical center is 50 points, and a firefighter in the burning medical center is 25 points. So let's clump the firefighter, let's clump the ambulance, the firefighter, and the water palm right next to each other right here on this part of the black line. So they're all clumped together. Then what we can do is we can turn, and instead of just bulldozing this one blue palm, let's bulldoze all three of them. All right? And then we're going to move down using the square ups and things like I've previously mentioned, and we're going to move, and we're going to keep all three of those things, and we're going to bulldoze along this line following the whole way, and we're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 stacks, and then all we're going to do is we're going to not stop and turn into the start box, but we're going to drive all the way down and into this box, this burning building, or non-burning building, just this building zone right here. We don't care whether it's burning or non-burning, we just want it in that building. Because the way this works is if the building is burning, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blue palms score, and the firefighter scores, right? That's if the building is burning. If the building is not burning, then the 1, 2, 3, 4 red cubes count, and the ambulance counts as points. So either way, we're getting points out of this run, and that are by themselves, without clumping them together, greater than what we were getting with the other run. Let's go ahead and calculate those to see what those would get. So you'll see, if hypothetically, in this scenario, if the building that we're pushing all of our points into was burning, we're going to get 50 points, right? Which is a lot better than what we were doing. We'll look at a second, because I think this can be increased, and I think we can actually work with this to make this a lot better. But let's go ahead and look at what the non-burning building would get us. Okay, so if we were to get all 4 of those medical supplies and the ambulance on the ground inside that zone, saying that building right there that we push everything into is not burning, that's 130 points, which is really good. That's going to get you, if you can do that consistently, that's going to be, genuinely, I think that would be top 10 at our regionals. I do. I think that if you could consistently get 130 points, you could get top 10 at our regionals. You'll probably get top 7, maybe even top 6. I think that is possible. I do not think that is outside the realm of possibility. 130 points is a good, consistent amount. But, like I said, with this run, there's only a 50% chance that you get to 130 points, and there's a 50% chance that you get 50 points. So what can we do to increase the score for this burning medical center in that scenario? All right, so to increase the score of that burning building scenario, we're going to need to make a couple mechanical changes to what this robot would do. So I brought us over into my little whiteboard space here. This is a top-down view of the Wallaby from earlier. These are the wheels, here's your Wallaby, and this is the Bulldozer. So this is if we were looking down the robot, right? What we could do to make this get more points is if we're going to add some very simple changes that would not be too hard or drastic to implement. What we're going to do is we're going to add a servo. A servo that sits right here. This servo, what it's going to do is it's going to have a long flapper or piece. It's a large extension of the bulldozing section of the robot. And it is going to sit here. We might have to look at somehow how this is bent out to maybe having a small triangular piece inside that flapper right there to make these line up. But in essence, it is just a longer extension of the robot that folds out like this. Very simple. You're going to need to extend some Legos, maybe some metal pieces right here along with a bracket to make this secure, but really all you're doing is outside on this edge of your bulldozer, you're adding a servo with a big flapper that extends off in this direction. What this flapper would allow us to do is it would allow us to not only collect these blue palms, but also these blue palms over here. Now, if we were to fix the bulldozer on this and have a flapper that extends out even farther, something, well, no, that's dramatic, but that extends out past that, we would need to start in the start box differently. We'd probably want to start the robot facing this way, like this, so that the flapper could actually fold back like this and be behind the robot in the start box. That's what the servo's for, so it can fold up and fit in the start box. But then you would drive, you would grab these things as normal, you do your same square up scenario here, square up, and you come over here, back up, line follow, and then, but once you get back to this point, what you're going to do is you're going to, you can actually do this earlier to help fit, but you're going to, once you have your robot like this, you're going to unfold that part of the flapper, and you're going to drive down this line, and those palms that are here will get pushed down towards your bulldozer as this flap drives up against this wall. You'd want to be careful to make sure that you don't get caught here, but this is definitely the next step that I think would help get these blue palms. And then after that, maybe once you've raked this, you can fold this in closer this way, bundle them all together inside your bulldozer before you continue and move forward. Now, assuming you get all 15 of those blue palms on that side and all 5 other blue palms from the earlier run, that's going to get us up to 125 points for this Burning Medical Center Complex run, which is almost pretty much the same as the 130 run, which is going to put you at almost the equal amounts for both of these scenarios, which is in all a really good run. And this is a very simple run where you're only having to deal with a couple drives. You're getting to line follow most of the time, which is really good. You don't have to worry about camera code, and all you have to do is bulldoze. Some super simple mechanical changes like that, and you're going to have a pretty good run on your hands. Alright, well that's going to be it for this video. I hope it was helpful. Maybe it helped you get some insight onto just not getting stuck in a rut on the same strategy and maybe looking for alternatives, but equally as easy solutions to get more points. I hope you further saw how just having good square ups and line follows can help you really, really increase the consistency of your runs. I'm really hoping that some starting teams are going to be able to get a hold of this series and can use it to the best of their ability so that they can increase the overall play and competition level in Botball. If you have any feedback or concerns or anything that you think I missed or should have stated, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. But that's it for me. Thank you very much. Have a good day.